these wonderful speakers, these dedicated individuals at the Women's Fund, bringing you these sessions. It really does enrich what we talk about in the classroom. And so for all of the students and the Gators or faculty and staff, if you've also are logging on, we're very fortunate to have this partnership, and really just want to continue to engage these conversations, especially now. I was hoping that this topic would really draw in a lot of folks, so we'll probably see more students trickling in. But thank you for being here, and I am watching the chat and looking and taking attendance as we go through the next hour or so. So please, I think Kayla will probably have some other comments or some other guidance for how to use the chat, but please do save your questions, or if Ms. Reed would like to entertain them throughout her presentation, put them in the chat. But thank you all for joining us.
Thank you, Tony. We are so grateful to be continuing our partnership with UHD. We really do love being able to bring in these outside speakers, not only for those at UHD or for the public, but we at the Women's Fund also thoroughly enjoy these presentations, and we are always learning through these presentations as well. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Women's Fund, we are a nonprofit dedicated to providing women and girls in the Houston area with the tools that they need to be advocates for their health. So we do this through focused seminars like today's presentation. We also have curriculum-based classes, and we have publications. So all of our programming is free, and our publications are free as well. If you haven't had an opportunity to look through any of our publications, you can visit our website, thewomensfund.org, where you can download free PDF versions, or you can fill out a publication request form for physical copies. So today we have a presentation over work-life and family balance with Centrell Reed. Centrell is an action coach, speaker, media figure, the founder and CEO of Creed Global Media, chairwoman of the International Entertainment Partnership and the Houston Entertainment Industry Task Force in Houston, Texas. Centrell is a leader forging her own path in media with Creed Global Media's television network, providing videography services and access to studios, television distribution and music streaming services, as well as spearheading the Houston entertainment industry expansion. She hosts the Centrell Show, Building a Better You, in her own 4,000 square foot Creed Global Media Studios with TV viewership worldwide. Centrell has served on the board of directors for Girls on the Run Greater Houston, supporting young girls since 2015. She is a co-chair for the Center for Houston's Future Leadership Subcommittee and an author and contributor for the Media Moment column in IF Magazine, International Focus. Centrell holds a Bachelor's of Science, Master of Business Administration, and is a certified project management professional. She is actively forging a way for small businesses, women, millennials, and content creators to monetize and unleash unlimited possibilities during the pandemic and beyond. So we are beyond thrilled to have you here with us today, Centrell, and we are very much looking forward to this much needed presentation over work-life and family balance. So I will turn the floor over to you.
Oh, well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Kayla, Tony. I appreciate it. And hello, everyone that is here in Zoom land. Hopefully this is not your first time being on a Zoom, yet I don't like to presume. So for today, I know we're talking about work, life, and family balance. I just want to make sure that this is an interactive session. We have a lot going on, probably zoomed out, and I also want to make sure that I'm on the right track when I'm sharing things with you. So for those of you, this is your first time in Zoom, or maybe you're not that familiar with it, we have, of course, this wonderful chat that Tony is monitoring. I'm also going to be looking at it as well. I believe that it's important to get your feedback as we go along. And then also, there's a reactions button on your lower navigation bar, and it says reactions. It's got some really cool things in there. So you can give me a thumbs up, or you can give an applause or laugh or whatever the case is, just in case I crack a funny. It could happen, you never know. So I just want to make sure that I have you here. Does Does everyone got that? I just want to make sure. Can I get some emojis really quickly, or maybe even a hello in the chat? That would be cool. Awesome. Okay, I see you guys are engaged. Great. So and I see someone raise their hand too, so that's pretty cool. Should you want to ask a question, definitely raise your hand. And hopefully that was just a mistake. You want to give us a moment. I believe it's Xaviera. And we will do some questions and answers in a few, okay? So I am Centrell Reed, and I appreciate the warm introduction. I think that we are all in an amazing space here, so I want to kind of talk to you about what the intention is for today, and that is to be balanced. I like to say what it is that I am, and I am balanced. Now, that doesn't mean that everything's going perfect or everything's going right. It just means that I have an affinity, I have a desire, I have a goal to get somewhere, and that's where I'm going to put my energies. So for today, my goal is to make sure that you get some tools and things you can walk away with that are going to help you to become more balanced. Okay, gotcha, Xavier. She was giving the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Awesome. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. I want to make sure that you get to know me a little bit, at least in the beginning, so that you can trust and understand my story. So one of the things for me that's really important right now is that life is tugging at us, right? And I am one of those people who is always trying to figure out, what am I going to spend my time on? What's the most important thing? Time management. You know, I have family, I have friends, I have all of these responsibilities. You know, you heard the introduction. Yes, I actually do have my hands in all of those things. What am I thinking? It's kind of crazy. Yet I have always been one of those people who want to see exactly what I'm made of. As women, we are like powerhouses. So I always want to know, what exactly am I made of? And in order to do that, I've got to test the limits. So as today goes on, I'm going to share with you kind of how I test those limits. I'm going to pop up a presentation, so let me know whether or not you can see my screen when I do share. And we will jump right on in. All right, so here's what we're talking about: work, life, and family balance. I think they probably should have added school in there, because this is UHD, right? So they probably should have added it in there. Yet that's okay. I'm going to add a little bit of it. So my story is always about building a better me. So I have spent about 20 years, really more. It's been like, 2 years in senior management. I don't want to date myself. Yet I've worked for Fortune 500 companies. I've worked with C-suites. I have done speaking, presenting, and just working across the gamut of technology and project management in anything that really challenges me. I like to step out. And for me, when I get opportunities like this, thank you to the Women's Fund, because I actually always wanted to teach at a college, and I might actually pursue that sometime soon. Yet to give me the opportunity to step out and speak to women, especially at this time, because we are such forces and powerhouses. And I want to know what it feels like right now, what it looks like in this space. For me, I'm always looking for, how do I show up better? How do I give more? And that's kind of what I see in a number of other women. And I'm sure there's no exception here for everyone who is just trying to find their way and or filling a number of different roles, right? You could be a sister, a mom, a daughter. You could be a wife. Or really, really good friend, or even a colleague, or someone who's good with their peers at school. So there's just so many roles that are always tugging at us. So my goal today is for us to be engaged and get some tools as to how we are going to navigate that. This is what I do as an action coach, is to share those tools with you on how you are going to become powerhouses in making the shift, making the change to become better in your lives. So one of the big things that I did make a decision to do this year in COVID was to put myself first. step out and put myself first. This is going to be really key as we go through today. So I want to make sure that I share that with you. And then, of course, make sure that you engage with me in the chat to let me know that I'm on the right track with you. So, all right, so let's talk about work-life balance, because I don't want to assume that everyone here knows what work-life balance, what work-life balance actually means. Work. It's a whole bunch of tasks, activities, a whole bunch of effort, things that we use our energy for. Life is this thing that we're living, right? It's the existence of us as human beings. And then balance. This is the big thing, right? And even distribution or weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright, steady, having stability in your mind and your feelings, or balances whatever's left over. How many of you feel like you're kind of operating on what's left over? Pop it in the chat, let me know. Let me know what you're thinking there. Okay, for some reason, hold on 1 second. All right. Oh, okay, I'm getting some feedback. I can relate. What's left over? There isn't much left over. That is so true. There's not much left over. And now we are dealing with a pandemic, right? This is the first for me. It could very well be the first for you. I would hope it's the first for you. You guys are all in college or you're, probably not much older than that. And so what that means is we're all dealing with a first time with each other, right? And for that, it's quarantine overwhelm has added to already the regular things that we're experiencing in life, right? We can't go see our friends. We have to wear masks everywhere we go. I forgot my mask the other day when I went to the store with my nephews. How crazy is that? We've been in quarantine for 8-9 months, or at least in COVID overload for 8-9 months, and I forgot it. And I was actually happy to forget it. Being safe is important, yet I just wanted a relief from that thing. So I'm sure most of you are feeling quarantine overload, yet not much is left over, right? And some of you are also not just going to school, you're teachers at home. Is that accurate? How many of you are actually teaching at home right now? You're teaching young ones, probably also teaching yourself. Exactly. So you became teachers overnight, and you also became tech gurus overnight. That is enough to add overwhelm upon overwhelm upon overwhelm. Well, I'll tell you, there is a way, definitely, to get some balance. So why is it important that we get some work-life balance? They said that work-life balance kind of came from the UK, right? This was some time ago, the 1970s. Wow, that's like over 50 years ago. And it was because of the increase in the digital age. Now, we are still in that digital age, probably times a million, I would say, because we have social media and we have all of these different things that are demanding our time that aren't even physically in front of us. And that's what tech has done. You can get a text message, you can get a social media message, and it's not just one platform. You might have IG, you have Facebook, that's Instagram just in case, Facebook, you have Snapchat, you have Twitter, and now TikTok. I mean, there's so many things, and before you know it, there is literally nothing left over for you to give to yourself. So does anyone here today feel like they have work-life balance? Raise your hand or put a note in the chat. Oh, I don't see anyone saying they have work-life balance. Now that's kind of wild. It is a constant challenge. And the great thing about that, Linda, the great thing about that, Tony, is that it will always be. Yes, I love that in Pittman. It is definitely that. It is a work in progress. The great thing is you can have balance at different times in your life. How do you get it? How do you start it? You have to define it for yourself, right? After you finish dealing with the family and the friends and the kids and the significant others, then you have to deal with your life, sometimes the lives of other people as well, and all the to-dos that are on the list, right? Yet when you define it for yourself, then you can kind of track a little bit of success every day. And we're going to talk about that. So our time demands. I know that I have many of them, and as I have worked with entrepreneurs and millennials and women, and even some men sprinkled in there on how to take action and get success in the spaces that they want. Balance is no different, right? You have to seek that thing out, because we have a number of things with these time demands. Some of these things I must do it, right? I have goals, I have things I need to accomplish, or I just want to do it. That I just want to do this thing. I want to do something different, or I need to do these things. And then the question is, well, what do you do first? You know, what do you do that matters? And also, what do you do for you, right? So balancing all of these things is quite important, yet you still have to find some time in there for yourself. Are we going to find it? I think we're going to find it. Let me see whether I can shed a little light on some of this stuff. So before we jump into how do we find it, let's talk about how we either are part of creating it or it starts to create itself, right? Through our activities, through all the things that we do. Well, it comes from stacking your plate, right? The first thing is two things. Now, you heard me getting into a whole lot of things. And let me tell you, my balance, I feel, is in a great space right now. And it wasn't because I made it that. I believe that sometimes when you are overdoing it, sometimes the universe makes you go sit down. It makes you take that break. And that's exactly what happened to me. I had been working in corporate America for years and was pushing myself continually up the ladder, yet I still had this passion for building my business. And I still had a passion for coaching and making sure that we had some unique stories and visibility on my television platform. And then COVID happened and I was laid off at the very beginning of this year. And that was probably one of the best things that could happen. That was just the start of my balance, because I was literally working like 20 hours a day, not getting a lot of sleep. And I do not recommend that for anyone. This is just me telling you, I know exactly where you are. For some of you whose plate may be stacked beyond measure, you're wondering, how do I fit all these things in? And I'm definitely not getting enough sleep. I am a cranky person and something has to give. And that's exactly where I was. I was crying, I was cranky, I was trying to understand when something was going to change for me, and something did. And that wasn't even the end of it. So after I became full-time in my businesses, I was able to see things that I hadn't seen, including in my own health and well-being, right? That I was worn down. I literally needed to rest. I took the first 30 days and rested a little bit more than I had before. And then I jumped right back in to putting all of that energy into my business. And when I did that, I had a refreshed mind and I was able to provide more services for our clients and even able to see some clear ways of pivoting in this pandemic to keep things going smooth for myself and my team. Stacking your plate is not the way to have balance. So eliminating some of those waste items, eliminating some of the things that, you know, it's just DTM. I'm not sure whether or not you know what that is. It's doing too much or doing the most. How many of you feel you're doing the most right now? I love this. I love this. All right. So always doing too much. I see you. I see you, Linda. Xavier, I see you definitely. It is one of those things where you kind of can't help yourself. It seems, right? You feel like somebody asks you, you know you can do it. You can probably do it quicker than they can. Or you are just goal-oriented and focused like me. I am disciplined. I am one of those people who feels like just with a little time management and massaging, I can make this happen. And literally, I will. That doesn't mean it's the right thing, right? There has to be some balance. And then I also have to own some of the reasons why, and I encourage you to own some of the reasons why. Why are you not having balance? Have you decided what that joyful thing is? Have you decided what is the thing you want to pick up? You know, I know New Year's is coming, and January the 1st is one of those special times for me because years ago I decided I'm not picking anything up. What is it that I want to put down? Do I want to put down saying negative things to myself? Do I want to put down having to please people? It doesn't have to be that you have to start your gym regimen or something of that nature. Maybe it could be. And then when I do decide what it is I want to do, then I'm going to take ownership of that thing, right? There will be excuses for it. And ladies, it doesn't have to be something big, right? It could be something small. It could be just giving yourself 5 minutes a day for some quiet time at the start of your day, or 10 minutes, or something at the end of your day, or even a sweet treat, something that you know you're going to enjoy, one chapter of a book. It could be anything. Just figure out that thing and own it. And then commit yourself to that. The commitment piece is the big piece because you have to demand the best for you. I don't know whether or not you notice this or not. How many people are coming to you and saying, hey, Andrea, you know what? I'm demanding the best for you. So I want you to do X, Y, and Z. I don't see that. I don't see people coming to me, Anna, and saying, hey, I see that you need to be doing X, Y, and Z. So you know what? I'm going to be accountable for you, or I'm going to make that happen for you. No one does that. We step into our joy zones and our unlimited possibilities because we believe that they're necessary. The next thing is the lack of belief or even fear. There are a number of people that we are responsible to on a daily basis, whether it could be our kids, our mates, our bosses, and they all have something. I know that there's never a project that ends or doesn't need to get done right now. Something has to happen. Yet there are ways to make sure that when you decide to put yourself first, that you stay in first place. And you have to believe that. No fear in the fact that when you take that first step, that you can't consistently maintain it. And then the other thing is other expectations. You have an expectation of yourself to show up for everyone else, except for you. When someone asks you something, do you feel like, yeah, I absolutely have to do it because they know that I can and they need me, as opposed to you needing you? That's the thing, ladies. That is the thing. So we want to make sure that we're prioritizing ourselves, right? Sometimes I look up and I say, how the heck did I get into this situation? Well, here are some of the common causes. And what we need to do is when we identify these causes, then we need to start remedying them, addressing them head on, and making some changes. So, who's with me here so far? Everyone following me? All right, so what have you heard? Love it, love it, love it. All right, so what have you heard? Do you sometimes feel like taking time for yourself is selfish? I mean, the streets can be cruel. People are saying all kinds of things out there, and you have to be careful who you're taking your knowledge from or even just advice. You know, everyone needs time for themselves. I hear you. We all need time for ourselves. Matter of fact, taking time for yourself is the least selfish thing you can do because that allows you to replenish. Bullet number 2, you can pour from an empty cup, and that's definitely false, right? These are myths. When you have nothing left, you have nothing left to give. I have seen friends, I have seen family do the very same thing. People pleasing can really run you down. And I've seen their bodies just shut down on them. They can't do anything else. And we don't want to get into that position, especially when we know we need it now. Take it now, ladies. You deserve it, so take it now. You can't change your life. Now, I know that there's demands, right? Definitely can't change the fact that the kids are at home and you have to teach them, maybe, Tony, right? We have to take all of the things that we know we're responsible for, still show up for those things, yet in there, in that 24 hours, we've got to find that little cushion spot for ourselves. We have to find it. No excuses. I told myself 2 months ago, because I had gained the quarantine 9 pounds, I don't know who else is in the same boat as me, yet, you know, there's snacks everywhere, you're at home. It's just natural that you're gonna have a sweet treat, probably 3 times a day or something like that. So I was having sweet treats and I gained 9 pounds. And I told myself, October 1st, making time for me. I'm working out. And I started giving myself 10 minutes a morning. Now, I'm an avid runner. I like to be out and about, yet quarantine just had me doing things way totally different. I was all out of whack. Yet I recognized it and I decided that I was going to do something different. So October 1st, I'm waking up. First thing I do is I go through my grateful routine and I think through my day and I pop on my workout. 10 minutes, ladies, 10 minutes. And I've been going strong every day since then. I have not taken a break and I'm so proud of myself for making that small adjustment. It's given me clarity, it's given me energy, and I know that I'm worth it. I know that you are too. So you don't always have to be doing something to get things done. Matter of fact, I found that as I started to pull back on some things would still get done, not because somebody else was necessarily doing them, just that things started to move around a little bit. I gave myself the space and time for maybe a different outcome that would still get the goal met, right? Multitasking is effective. Now, I know that as women, we probably do more things than men do. Like literally, you could put something in the microwave, run the dishwasher, you know, you could have, you know, the kids getting a snack or whatever the case is. And you might even have a Zoom meeting going on in the background while you're doing all of those things, because that's what we do. Yet each of those things requires us to stop and do it individually. We are not multitasking. Those things may have longer process times, yet we are literally taking time to do each one. It is not effective to do all of those things because when you're overwhelmed, sometimes you forget that one of them is going. And I don't know about you, I burned some biscuits doing that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily the most effective way to have balance. Really staying focused and being present in that moment on that activity helps you to appreciate it more. It also helps you to slow down more and realize the things that you're doing. And anything you're doing right now, do you have to do it that way? A lot of people say, no, you have to do it that way. I remember one of my bosses telling me, Central, you don't have a choice. And I stopped and I said, no, actually I do. I always have a choice. And I had the guts then to say that. This was probably 5 years ago, right? I had the guts to say I have a choice because inside I know that everything that happens to, for, with, or involves me, I have a choice in it. So I want to make sure that you know that you don't have to do it this way. You have to figure out what the best way is for you. And the last myth is there are limits to what's possible for you. I like to challenge anyone that I am coaching or working with to think about any and everything that they would like to do. Just go on a nice little fantasy journey, right? And when you go on that fantasy journey, what does life look like for you? What are you doing? What have you accomplished? And once you go on that journey, then guess what? You're now responsible to make some choices to make it happen. So Let's talk about some tools, ladies. And tell me whether or not the one that is number one resonates with you. A closed mouth won't get fed. Closed mouths won't get fed. How many of you are speaking up for the things that you need right now? Or maybe you are hesitant to speak up because you feel like so many other people are doing it and they're thriving, or they seem to be thriving, or they're getting more done, and you're just not sure whether or not what you would be doing is complaining. Let me tell you, it doesn't work for you, then that means it just does not work. Are there tools and things that maybe you could use to make it work for you? Probably. Yet the point is that you have to speak up about the fact that something's not right. And anything that you're feeling right now that does not have you in a joyful place or does not have you happy means that it needs to be addressed. So speak up, share what's going on with you so that someone can help you navigate that space. They can give you some tools maybe that you have not thought about that are specific to addressing some of the things that you're going through. There are a lot of ways to make balance happen. You may not know them all. Sometimes I'm limited in my own mind, yet having the fortune to speak with so many people, whether it's been people in the coaching space or C-suites that I've worked with and companies that I work with, I have a lot in my arsenal. So those are things that I like to share so that they can be of use to you. You want to make sure that you are speaking up so that someone can share some insight with you. Oh, and here, define your balance. Embrace whatever your balance is. Your balance is not going to be my balance. And let me also tell you that you will not be balanced 100% of the time. Is that fair? Does that make sense? You will not. I want to make sure that we're not looking for perfection here. We are looking for progress. We are looking for step-by-step, day-by-day improvement. Be generous with yourselves. I have to remind myself that on a daily basis. Be generous with myself, celebrate my wins, embrace the times and moments when I did have balance, and know that those moments can be multiplied. Embrace your definition of balance. Balance for you could be everything that you're doing right now. You just want to have peace as you go through it. That could be balance. Balance for you might be doing everything that you're doing plus adding your favorite activity. Maybe just having the time and space to do it. And it might just require moving some things around, a little time management. So what does balance mean to you? And then you embrace that definition. Once you figure that out, then you need to write it down. Envision it, see it, kind of walk in it. You know, they tell you that whenever you believe something, it's like it's almost, it's already there. It's real. You believe it, you really start to feel the emotions of that thing. I've done that technique before, and it really does help. I have rehearsed the wins I've had in my business, and it gives me this amazing feeling. I see the smiles on my nephews' faces when I spend time with them. That gives me peace and balance. And anything that I envision, then I'm now able to make moves and put things in place to make those things happen. That's the act part. That's the acting on it. So of course, you thought about it. Now, yes, you have to write it down. This is not a term paper. This is just really simply, what do I want from myself? What do I want for my balance? Envision it, believe you can have it, and then start making small steps, small efforts, actions to make it happen. And then consistent. Honor yourself, honor your intentions for balance, whatever that is, and make sure that you're keeping your word to you. So a whole bunch of other people can break their promises to you. They can say that they're going to do something. You just shouldn't do that to yourself, because you deserve to keep your word to you. Not only you are the person who's with you all the time. So make sure that you put you in priority position. Everyone following me so far? Okay, all right. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I'm going to tell you a couple of things on how to achieve this, and any tools that you feel are not in here for you, by all means, share them and let me know. Yet, we just finished talking about thinking it, writing it down, envisioning it, believing it, and acting on it. You have to set your goals. So while we're talking about balance, what is your goal for balance? Remember, it's yours. So you want to make sure that you set that goal. I want to achieve X by what date? We're coming up on the new year. This might be something you want to pick up, and or there might be something you want to put down. Whatever it is, I call it unleashing your possibilities. I coach on it, I teach. How do you unleash possibilities for yourself? Balance is a space where you get to unleash whatever those possibilities look like. Balance could be a whole new life for you. You could be looking to have vacation for the next 5 months. I'm not sure. I know I need a vacation. I feel like I need a vacation. So I might be with whoever wants a vacation. Yet, whatever that is, just I invite you to write down all the possibilities. Don't qualify them, don't quantify them. Whatever it is that you feel like you want for your balance or you want for your life, just write it down unapologetically, without any type of, well, I can't, maybe it's too much, none of that. Just write it down. It's your heart of hearts when you are that open, and that's the opportunity for you to truly see and seek what's going to bring you joy, even in small moments. You can catch a glimpse or catch a whim or 5 minutes or 10 minutes of that experience. Your life is going to be much more balanced. So write them all down. And then choose one that you want to achieve by a certain date. Set the goal. Make yourself accountable to that thing. Implement integrity within you. And this goes with exactly what I said. You have to be honest with you. You say you're going to do something, keep your word to you. Keep your word to you. I always feel like you can't expect other people to do what you won't do for yourself. Nothing works without you. Maya Angelou said that. Nothing works without you. You actually have to do the work. So when you seek to do something, make sure you keep your word to you. Have that integrity. And then for those of you who are always seeking resources, I'm one of those people. I'm always looking for resources, whether it's great exercise routines, great meditation, any type of, thought-provoking, get in touch with my emotions, get in touch with my power zone and in my mental, or even getting around coaches that have done some amazing things and have found some experiences in life that they can share with me. I do all of those things because I'm looking for the tools and I may not always have them. So I say seek the expertise and seek the resources. When you seek, you shall find. So seek those resources, get what you need. You are worth every bit of saving time. There's no need for you to go through another 5 years or another 10 years not getting what you want, not realizing unlimited possibilities or even getting to your goal or your definition of balance. So seek the expertise and get the resources. And protect your time and energy. There might be a number of things, and I was really impressed with a friend of mine who said, I'm no longer going to do anything that I don't want to do. Now, I don't know how anybody gets to do that because there's a lot of things that I don't want to do, yet it just like a powerful statement. And I think more of the interpretation is I'm just going to watch my time and put my energy in places where it matters most to me. So this is where you look at some of the things that are on your plate, some of the things that you're doing, and hey, move them around, slowly move them off of your plate should they not serve you anymore and they're not things that you want to do. Have conversations with people. This is a big one. Have conversations with people about protecting your time and energy, or as one of my friends used to say, and I love this, that does not work for me. That worked for me. It's a nice way of saying, no, Like, I'm just not going to do that, right? So starting to have that open dialogue and really starting to vocalize the things that you feel are worth your time, that you want to put your energy into, ways that you're going to achieve some balance. Okay? So then what's next? Now we've kind of talked for a bit about balance, and the next thing is you got to take action. So you got to find that sweet spot for balance. For everyone who has said in the chat that, yes, I need time for myself. I need to make sure that I'm finding balance. There's not enough time. There's not enough of me to go around. It's a constant challenge. We're in a pandemic. All of these things, I have more responsibilities and roles on my plate than I can count. And of course, I'm a work in progress and I'm working on it. All those things are great. Finding your sweet spot is going to help you to get there faster, right? Knowing exactly what that is. And that sweet spot's going to move because January is going to come and our environment's going to be different. Or let's just say tomorrow is going to come and things are going to be different. For me, I always use unlimited possibilities as my guide. What things are possible for me in the space of balance? Or what things are possible for me in any space that I'm in? In the space of balance, unlimited possibilities for me means extra rest in the morning. I'm not getting up at 5 or 6 or 7. Maybe I'm not getting up until 8. That might be my sweet spot. Every Sunday I get to spend time with my family, uninterrupted, no work. That's unlimited possibilities. I'm gonna give myself a vacation once, maybe twice a year. And even whether that vacation is within the city or it's not far away, I'm taking time away from work, away from friends, away from responsibilities, away from anything that's pulling on me that I don't consider a part of my sweet spot for balance. And that's how I'm defining my unlimited possibilities. And I'm listing those things down. And then I'm going to start putting some plans in place, make a plan to make those happen. And in that plan, these are my rules. I do things my way, right? So however that looks for you, I am encouraging you to do that. For me, everything has to be written down because I feel like when my pen hits the paper, it's like an extension of me. It's like me going into that paper and saying, yep, this is gonna happen. It's on there, it's written, it's real. So make sure that you are writing it down, writing your plan. What are your unlimited possibilities? List them all from you won't do dishes anymore. And maybe you won't clean toilets anymore. You won't be teaching your kids anymore at home. The quarantine will be over and you look forward to X. It could be that you just want to bring in something in the home. Right now, your home is your home, your work, it's kids' school, it's the playground, and it's also your sanctuary. So you've got to find what you're going to shift around when you put that plan in place. When you're looking at those possibilities, they're all available to you, right? And then you progress daily to get there. This does not happen overnight because you put it on paper and just because you think about it as this is what I'm going to do to get that balance does not mean it happens right now, ladies, yet you can get a little bit of it. Just in case you want a little solitude, you can take 5 minutes of solitude for yourself, 10 minutes. Hey, push it, get 15 or 20, whatever's available to you, take that and keep progressing daily. What are your thoughts there? Who's ready for some balance? Who's feeling like some of these tips are going to work for them? That they can at least implement one of these tips today? Okay, I like that. I'm glad to hear it. And now ask me some questions. Tell me some things that you want to hear from me. Tell me what it is that I can do to help address some of your questions. Anything specific, I'm here for it. What do you got?
Okay, so we are opening up the chat. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and add those there. If the question is longer, because I know sometimes we have trouble typing out things in the chat,
Yeah.
you can go ahead and unmute yourself and then ask your question. But I have a question to get us started off.
Sure.
So the pandemic has thrown us all a curveball. Do you have any advice for those who are working from home for the first time? How can we find that balance now that, work life and home life used to be separate, but if you're working from home, they are now the same space?
Yes. So home, work, kids' school, it's everything now. The advice that I give, and I say this because I actually started working from home probably in 2011, maybe even before then, just, on and off. Yet I had the wonderful honor of taking care of a family member as they were going through cancer, and it was the first entrance into full-time working from home. Yeah, it can be a lot. You feel like, wow, I'm working, and sometimes you can't even pull yourself away from the computer. You're there all day because it's there, and that is your workspace now. And you're probably craving some adult interaction possibly, or just interaction, period, for those of you who just are extroverts or don't have a lot of that at home. I recommend that you do some separating, right? So work in a different space than where you sleep, should you be able to, right? You may have to carve out, maybe it's the quiet spot you're able to carve out that's away from the kids, and switch things up. The great thing about being able to work from home is you could work outside when it's beautiful days, should that be something for you. I've always liked that. I recommend switching up that space so it doesn't get stale. You're not staring at the same four walls or the same view out of the window, and you get to refresh your mind in that. Come up with a routine as well that helps, and communicate this routine, of course, that helps the people in your home. I used to have to put up a sign, I am in a meeting, or meetings from this time to this time, so everyone has to be quiet, right? And we all know to respect those things. And that is going to help you. Any and everything that you're doing, you've got to switch it up a little bit so that it doesn't get stale, and so that you don't get stale. You want to keep your mind stimulated. And then, of course, set some boundaries and communicate with those people that are home with you to make sure that they're on the same page. And for those of you that are home and it's just you, I encourage you also to kind of look at some of the good things about having your space, and not considering it the worst thing, right? We are going to be in this for just a very short time in our lives. There are some great things to embrace about working from home. It might help to make a list of gratitude for those things. Should you feel as though there's nothing else that you can do to change it up, find that list of gratitude. I think you'll be surprised. I found that I was able to get into a whole bunch of other things while I was at home, and I didn't have to worry about things like getting dressed and traveling or driving anywhere. So I started looking at a lot of those things, and that time that I got back in that space is time that I could give to myself.
That is wonderful advice. Whether you're working from home for a job or you're working from home taking classes as a student, I think
Absolutely.
that is wonderful advice. Switching it up, not letting anything get too stale. Because, I think a lot of us were not expecting to be in this situation for this long. And so
Right.
that's a great idea. Definitely switching things up. And that gratitude, sometimes it can get a little hard. So I think that's a really great idea to kind of write down what are the good things about being in this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the next question is, I'm trying to protect my time. I say yes a lot of the time, not only because I want something to be completed, but also because I want to be reliable. How can I impress my reliability on others while graciously saying no?
Well, that's a good one. I do have a question before I respond to that, though. What makes you feel like you're not reliable?
That was my question. So I think being physically present and involved and engaged in some kind of, group work makes me, in my opinion, I hope I'm conveying that I'm reliable in
Mhm.
getting something done. So working as a team member or as part of a group towards a goal.
Mhm.
But if I find myself, and not just in my work life, but even at home or at school, my kids' school, saying, yes, let me volunteer for that. Or yes, I will be happy to coordinate some kind of activity. And not realizing that I don't have the capacity to do that. And I need to say no. I need to protect my time. So I guess my question is, how can I graciously say no without looking like a weasel, like I don't want to be part of the activity?
Well, let me tell you, this story that you're telling yourself is amazing because you wouldn't look like a weasel. Like, I'm sure everybody already knows that you are an overachiever, always dependable, always reliable, always ready to help, because there's only a few of those people. Let's just be real about that, right? We all know who we can count on. Matter of fact, the people that we can count on, we seem to overly task with the things that we need. So I would say a way for you to do this, and I had to do this. I remember it didn't matter who it was. It was a friend, a family member, definitely someone at work. They needed something. I would just, yes. When you are a giver, you fall into so many different things. I would just insert myself. And I'm like, oh, I can get that done for them. I can get it done faster. I can squeeze it in. And before I know it, they haven't asked me. I just get in there. I'll take care of that. Or I'll do this. See, you don't have to say no when you don't volunteer. So that's one thing. We still know that you're reliable because we all can see the characters of each other, the characteristics of each other. We can see the character of each other. Everyone knows who the other person is. And let's just be real about that. You have looked at someone and you've seen their work and you've seen how they approach life and you know exactly who they are. So it's the story that we tell ourselves that I don't volunteer for this. Somebody's going to think that I'm not available to help and that I'm slacking, and it's so far from the truth. So let's not tell that story anymore. And also do not volunteer for anything else for the next 30 days and see how you feel. Because you deserve that grace, right? And you also deserve to see what it feels like when you don't just jump in. And when someone asks you to do something, find some words, because I had to do this. I'm not really good with saying no, which is why I loved when my friend said that won't work for me. I started writing down ways to say no without actually using the word. So I would say, oh, my plate seems to be full that day. I'm not going to be able to fit that in on this day. Can you check back with me in 2 months? It looks like I'm going to have some availability there. I came up with different things that allowed those tasks to pass me by. And I got to free up my plate, and I also got stronger. I got stronger in being able to protect my space. Sometimes we have to write it down and practice it out so that when the opportunities do come for us to really exercise it, we can. And then change your story that you are reliable, you are a gracious person, and you know that you're already giving all of your energy to these other things, and you've got to protect some space for yourself.
That was a really great question and a really great answer. I know for a lot of people on the call who may be students or young professionals, especially when you're trying to just get started, it's so hard to say no because you want to impress people and you want people to think that you're reliable. So I love that idea of writing down and practicing how you can say no without actually saying no. I think that would be
Absolutely.
great. So speaking of young professionals or students who are trying to make a name for themselves and carve out a path for themselves, as far as their career goes, how can they find ways to combine work and life, and should they?
Oh yeah, you absolutely should. There's now work and life. So life is different, right? I'm a big proponent of showing up for our networking events and things like that, getting to know people. This is the new place to get to know new faces. And I recommend that you find organizations or like-minded groups, conversations, there's seminars, there's symposiums, or people that you would find some commonality in connecting with. It could be groups that are at your school. For me, it's, you know, I love getting with people that exercise. That's a thing for me. I love to be around people who read because I like to read different books, and I always like someone to suggest something I can't think of. Yet when it comes to thinking about your career and things like that, you want to make those interest groups have something to do with that next level. So what is that next level for you, or what are you interested in when you're looking to get into? And then find those groups. And then I would recommend, there's so much online, and you might be Zoomed out or, you know, Google Meets out. Just find some things that will allow you to get into conversation, or at least be a fly on the wall to see what other people are talking about. You definitely want to allow COVID to be a catalyst for a different way of networking. Don't just sit at home. This is a good time to grow. And not only that, conversations like this help me to expand. It helps me to understand what's going on out there, what people have to consider, what's on their plate. So those conversations are going to help you do the same thing. And you might find out some new things that you had no idea you would be interested in, that you might want to try or proceed with, maybe connecting with someone to learn more about. So I would recommend that.
Awesome. So another question here is, I have a hard time turning off work, even when I'm not working, like evenings, weekends, or on vacation. What do you suggest?
Well, is it because, and me asking a little bit of a discovery question, is it because you're using the same device for work as you are social stuff? Meaning you don't have a work laptop, you're using your work laptop and it's your personal laptop?
Yeah, some of the devices, yeah, overlap between work and regular life.
Okay. And so the reason why I say that is because that was exactly what was happening with me. I was using my work laptop, and it was the only laptop I had. And so therefore, anything that I needed to Google search, blah, 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 it was happening on that laptop. And when something pops up on Skype Business or the messaging app that your company uses, guess what you're going to do? You're going to say, oh, well, that's a quick question. I can answer that. Oh, email just popped up. Oh, yeah, I can go ahead and answer that. That's a quick. Next thing you know, that quick turned into hours, and you have now lost some time. So what I recommend, and one of the things I also decided to do to give myself a little bit more balance, was to make sure that I did not have my work email attached to my personal device. Now, you may not have the luxury of doing some of these things, yet you can make the choice to, after a certain time, turn it off. Turn it off, turn off the notifications, put the device to the side, close the apps. All of those things are within our control. I recommend that. And then the other piece is, just like I was saying, closed mouth won't get fed. Maybe you feel like there's an expectation that you are working all the time. You might feel like it's an expectation. I can tell you, number one, it's not an expectation, because it would be against, all, EEOC and every other labor law out there for you to be working all the time. You are compensated for a certain amount of time with your job, and it won't make you any less than to operate within that time. I'm not saying just meet. I know a lot of us are overachievers, so we want to exceed. We want to exceed expectations of how much time we give, all of that good stuff. What I'm saying is that give yourself a limit. You know, you are not available after 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., and let it be that. Challenge yourself to make that choice and give the rest of that time to yourself. There's no one else that's with you. And then when it comes to those conversations at work, because I've had these as well, I let them know, yes, I will be available Monday through whatever up until this time. After that, I dedicate my time to my family life. And family life doesn't mean you have to have children or a husband. It means it's your family life, right? Your family life includes your friends. It includes everything that you do outside of, and you don't have to explain that to anyone. Your job is your job, your work is your work, and there is an amount of time for that. Barring any special projects and things like that, yet it may be a good opportunity for you to start communicating that and changing some habits, making choices to put devices away and not have those things in front of you so you can be tempted to take away from your space and build new habits.
Thank you. That is great advice. And I know that personally, I have my work email on my phone because it's convenient
It
when I'm
is.
working. But then at 9 o'clock at night, you get that email that you've been waiting for, and it's hard to resist. But I think it's a good idea to not have those apps, or to at least turn off the notifications so you're
Mm-hmm.
not seeing that pop up. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next question is, should balance look the same for everyone? Should we strive for 50-50 work and life, or should we aim for something else?
Balance definitely doesn't look the same for everyone. What you can handle is going to be different than what the next person can handle. We have had about 20 women on this call, or 20 people on this call, and I'm more than sure we can line up our list of what balance looks like, and it's going to be totally different for each one of us. It is yours to define. Balance is yours to define. What does it look like for you? Someone's balance might include working out. Someone else's might include, I must have time with my girls. I must have time with my kids. That's outside of all of our responsibilities. So it's yours to define. You write it out, figure it out for yourself, and then you don't apologize for that. What makes you feel good makes you feel good, and there's nothing wrong with that. So don't look to anyone else. You might be listening to someone and they say, oh gosh, I have to have a vacation every 3 months. That's my balance. Well, that might not be your balance. Don't feel pressured to do the thing that someone else is doing. You can only do what works for you. When you start trying to incorporate someone else's desires and design for their life into yours, you will find yourself quickly out of balance.
Great. And the next question here has to do with time management. So a big part of balance, both within your work life and your personal life, has to do with time management. So what things have you used, whether it be apps or planners, or different techniques, things that you have tried for time management that you feel work really well, or work for others well?
Well, there's a few things. I know people who break down their days in advance. I think you get better and better with how much time you have, right? 24 hours a day, times 7 days a week. So, I mean, that's a lot of time to work with. How much time are you sleeping? Are you getting a full 8 hours? Mark it down. And then you kind of look at your day, well, I'm working from this time to this time, because this is a really good visual exercise. So you can really see where those pockets of time exist. Then it's not arbitrary. You're not like, oh, I might have some time here or there. I am really big on my calendar. So for some people, it could be an app, and you could pull up some apps that help you manage your time, your projects, all of those things. I'm big on using my calendar, and I put everything on my calendar. I have a to-do calendar item that follows every day, and it pops up as a reminder for me at 9 o'clock in the morning, because that's when I'm going to look at it, and that's when I'm going to tackle, and that's when I'm going to take things off. I recommend that you find something that works for you, because everyone's not app driven and everyone's not going to be good with the calendar. And my assistant doesn't really care much for the calendar. She uses a to-do app, and it pops up notifications for her. And that works better because she gets a ding whenever something is needs to be done, and it's a few hours before that task needs to be done, or a day, that works for her. So I do recommend that you find a tool though. So whatever that is, whether you're going to write it down so that you know what you have to do, and maybe you're a crosser offer. I'm also a post-it note person, so I've got like lots of these little thingies, and I put things on them. So I'm just one of those people who likes to track progress and see. So whether you use post-it notes, you use a calendar, you use an app that manages your time, or you just write it down, I recommend you find what works for you. And then when you do find what works for you, you just have to use it consistently. Know that you're breaking things down on a daily basis, and you'll be able to break it down on a 15-minute basis, 30 minutes. So yeah, I would say go hour by hour so that you at least have an idea of what you're going to do during your day. It'll help you to find where you have space and where you also have room to improve when it comes to managing it.
Great, thank you. I am definitely not good with using apps. So a physical write down, those post-it notes, that's absolutely me. I have to write down everything or else I will forget it.
Oh yeah, there's so many things going on. So absolutely, it's easy to forget things. That's why I say write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. It's like you go to the grocery store and you have to get like 20 things, and it's in your head. And then you come out of the store and you say, I forgot. Because you didn't write it down. When you go to the grocery store and you have it, check, 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 check before I leave this. Yeah, I got it. Got it all. It's there. It's visual. It's in your face. Ball that thing up, toss it in the trash, slam dunk. You did it, right? So I like to look at it like that. I like to see visually my progress.
I am definitely with you there. So if anyone has any questions left, something that we didn't cover, please feel free to go ahead and put that in the chat. And while we wait for any possible last minute questions, I want to ask you to share a final piece of advice. If there's one thing that you would want us to take away from today's presentation, or one last thing that you could tell us, what would that be?
Hello. 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 I heard someone saying something. Was there a question? So the advice that I would give is to be generous with yourselves. This is a really difficult thing. It seems for women, oh my gosh, we do everything. We are such overachievers. And I find that when I am around, males, they are so confident in everything that they do. Oh my gosh. I want ladies to be that confident. I want them to be that generous with themselves and share that, they believe in their potential, right? We are so hard on ourselves, yet we're doing so much. So by all means, give yourself some credit, ladies. Do great things. And that's my message to myself every day. I am giving myself some encouragement, and I am advising you definitely the same, especially during this time. You just have to. You have to give yourselves a break, know that you're doing something great, and write down all the great things that you're doing, because that is going to help you to see how great you actually are. So yeah, definitely be generous with yourselves.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. I know that I've learned some things that I can take away and incorporate into my life to try to work on that balance, because like you said, it is something that we continuously will be working on. If you do have any questions or comments after the presentation is over, sometimes I think about things days later. Feel free to reach out to us at healtheducator@thewomensfund.org. I know that Central also had her email and contact information on her previous slide as well. And then please, please, please take our survey. Let us know what you liked about this presentation, things that we could improve. We are always looking for feedback in order to improve our presentations. And then to end, these are our social media sites and our website. Please go and check those out. You can see what we have coming up. We post different health-related posts on these accounts as well. And then upcoming events, tomorrow we have the final presentation of our diabetes awareness series. We also have a presentation over goal setting and decision making, which you might find very helpful after this wonderful work, life, and family balance presentation. And then on Friday, we wrap up the week with Alzheimer's and holiday stress. So if anyone has any questions at all, please feel free to put those in the chat. I'm going to be hanging around for a few more minutes. But other than that, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all. And I've also shared my information just in case you want to stay connected. Please do. And I've shared a nice discount code for all of you who have attended, just in case you decide that you want to be mentored or coached. I'm here for you. Thank you again, Women's Fund, Kelsey Siebold, and of course, University of Houston Downtown. It's been a great opportunity.
Thank you so much for providing that, Central. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.